Intro. In May of 1917, U.S. medical teams became the first American troops to arrive in the European war zone. Helen Dorr Bolston served in France with the 1st Harvard Unit, a U.S. medical team that treated more casualties than any other group of American doctors and nurses during the conflict. In 1927, she published Sister, The War Diary of a Nurse, an account of her experiences in the field. The following excerpts span from February to November of 1918. February 23rd. Glorious day out. Spring comes so early here. Already the line of the hills against the sky is green, and Jock, the camp gardener, is plowing in the quadrangle. 200 gassed cases came down last night. Poor wretched things. And we have no beds for them. Had to put stretchers on the floor, and they were so uncomplaining about it. One said to me, as I was bathing his eyes while he laid on the floor, "It's jolly good to be here, sister." February 28th. The first thing I heard when I went into the ward this morning was Hilly, playing White Wings on the gramophone. I don't believe he's had that record off since I was here before. I have the same side of the ward that I had before, with nearly all the same patients, 40 of them. But it isn't as easy as it sounds, for the dressings are hard. I'm so pleased to have that side again, but heavens, how I worked. My back is busted in 2 nights. Slowly, down the ward, doing the dressings and making the beds, but every time I straighten up, there was old Dad beaming. The dear plucky old thing. It's quite an accomplishment to get old Dad to beam. He came all the way from Australia to fight for the England he had never seen. He's over 60, and no one can imagine how he got into the army. But he did, and now he lies here with his leg torn to pieces. He's a crotchety old darling, always ragging and roaring about something. And then there is Hilly. His hip was shattered by an explosive bullet when he was crossing a river, and he would have drowned if his chum hadn't come back to him and carried him out on his back. There's more to it, but I'm not sure I've ever got it straight. Anyway, Hilly's chum got the Victoria Cross for it, but Hilly, as he says, got nothing but a bum leg. He's an Irish guardsman, and everyone in the hospital knows him, long and thin with a fine, keenly intelligent face, which is proudly decorated with a neat black mustache. He has lain for 9 months tied to a Vulcan frame, and he is the heart and soul of A1. He bucks the boys up to no end, always singing or joking and wrangling about something. He never complains, though he is tortured daily. We have always been great friends. We have old jokes that we cherish, and certain formulas of greetings and leave-taking. It was Hilly, long ago, who started the boys saying good night to me all in one voice. They think it is a great joke, but it's a lot more than that to me. I wondered tonight if they had forgotten. There were new boys in the ward, of course, and it had been a long time since I had been there. But when it came time for me to go off duty, I stopped in the doorway as usual and said goodnight to the boys near at hand. Like a flash, Hilly pulled himself up and overhand along his frame, yelling, "Hey mates, shut your noise, sister's going." There was a grinning silence while I said in the rather small voice that I tried to keep from shaking, "Good night, lads, sleep well." With a crash that shook the hut, all the boys responded in one shout, "Good night, sister." The new boys stared. The sister in charge flew out of the office. "For God's sake, Bolston," she exclaimed, "what on earth are you doing?" "Nothing," I replied meekly, "just saying good night to the boys." "Well, for the love of Mike, I should think you were." March 8th. I haven't written in this lately. I've been so busy. There is a new crowd at the senior officers' machine gun school, and they have nearly rushed the Harvard unit off its feet. It is great fun because no matter how complicated things get, the men have to go back up the line at the end of the month. And next time they come down the line, if they ever do come, poor dears, they will be at some other base, rushing other girls. I always have a curious sense of impersonality in these affairs. Officers come out of the line presumably for extra study, but mostly for a rest and a good time. And they must have a girl or girls. They have seen enough of men for a while. So they fall enthusiastically in love with the first girl they meet, and everybody has a gorgeous time. But I wonder, now and then, if they ever really see us as individuals. I doubt it. Anyway, everyone forgets everybody else as soon as they are gone, and that's that. It's a fascinating game, this playing at love with people who can't stay long enough to be serious. One feels so safe. I'm getting to hate long, drawn out affairs. Once in a while, of course. March 9th. The spring often offensive is on the way. The boys have all been recalled, and there is an unpleasant tension in the air. John left today. I was to have had a farewell luncheon with him this noon, but at the last minute my off duty time was changed, and I couldn't go. He waited ages, down at the lack, and then appeared in the doorway of the ward with an appropriately forlorn expression. He stayed about an hour, and we finally parted with all the necessary drama. He is the first of the crowd at the school to go. The thought of it makes me sick. The crowd at the school will all be killed. They always are. I don't see why we aren't all crazy. Maybe we are. We ought to be. And yet, after saying goodbye to John, both of us feeling miserable and tragic, I went off duty and went out to dinner with Kit and Jerry and Jardine and Lynn Von Stone and had the time of my life. I suppose that's why we aren't crazy. We can do things like that and it keeps our balance.